What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How you doing today? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we got another top 5 for you. Today, we're going over the top 5 2021-22 Young Guns heading into next NHL season, and the top 5 Young Guns I think have a chance to go up during next season. My list isn't the right list. I want to hear your guys' list down in the comments below, so make sure you comment your list down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We have more of these lists coming out before the start of the season, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on those. Drop a like on this video if you do enjoy. Please keep in mind that this is not financial advice. Please invest in sport cards at your own risk. All graphs will be courtesy of Sport Card Investor, not a sponsor or anything, and all graphs will be for PSA 10 Young Guns in US dollars. But yeah, let's get things started with number 5. Kicking us off here with number 5 is actually a player I've been high on for a pretty long time, and he'd be higher on this list if he didn't play in such a bad market. It's Mason McTavish of the Anaheim Ducks. The Ducks market does hurt him quite a bit, and I don't know if the Ducks are going to be competitive this season. I still think they're not really there yet. But if the Ducks are pushing for a playoff spot, I think McTavish is primed for a breakout season. I think the Ducks are going to be one of the most exciting teams to watch next season just because of all the young talent they have in this roster, including guys like Leo Carlson, Cutter Gauthier, maybe someone else that might be on this list a little later. Yeah, I'm just really excited to watch Anaheim. I just wish they weren't on the West Coast. It's kind of hard to watch their games here on the East Coast, and the market does suck, but I think Mason McTavish has a chance to be the guy in Anaheim. Taking a look at his point totals from last season, he managed to score 42 points in 64 games on a bad Anaheim Ducks team. The year before, he had 43 points in 80 games, so that is an improvement on the year before, even though he got injured last season. What is a little concerning, and I mean like very little, like I'm not concerned like almost at all about this. According to Daily Faceoff's line projections, they currently have Mason McTavish projected to play on the third line in Anaheim. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Mason McTavish is almost a sure thing in this top 6. I don't think Alex Killorn's going to stay on the top line like they have projected out, but we'll see when training camp really ramps up and where Mason McTavish is actually playing. Either way, McTavish is going to be on this power play. He's going to be one of the most involved guys on the offensive attack, and I just think he has a chance to lead this team in points. Taking a look at his PSA 10 Young Guns, we can see the highest one sold for 65 US, lowest around 40 US. So yeah, honestly, I think that's a pretty good price for McTavish. Now, unfortunately, it's going to take a pretty big breakout for him to really gain substantial value because of that Anaheim Ducks market, and that's why he's all the way down here at number 5 and not higher on this list for me. Up next with number 4 is a guy who I actually think might be the best player currently on this list. It's Seth Jarvis of the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, Seth Jarvis just got a big contract to stay in Carolina long term. I think he's going to be playing a huge role on their power play next season and on their top line, at least projected to be on the top line, with Sebastian Aho. Taking a look at Jarvis's stats from last season, you can see he had a big breakout season, 67 points in 81 games, including 9 points in 11 playoff games. Seth Jarvis, I think, is trending towards being a real star in the NHL, and I'm excited to see what he can do next season. As I said earlier, he's currently projected to play with Aho and Svechnikov on that top line in Carolina. That's exactly what you want to see for a card to go up in value. You want him playing the most time possible. Of course, he's going to be on the power play as well. My concern with Jarvis would be the market. The market's not the best in Carolina. It's definitely not nearly as bad as the market in Anaheim, but it's still not what I would consider an A-tier market in the NHL. Some of the cards get some love, like Sebastian Aho I consider one of the best centers in the league, at least in my opinion, but his cards don't really get a whole lot of love because he doesn't have that offensive flair to go with his game like some other superstars do. Taking a look at his current prices, looks like one recently sold for as high as 82 US, one as low as 69 US. I think that's right in the correct range for Jarvis currently. I think we could expect, I think a reasonable expectation for Jarvis next season is a point per game. I think he can get to that, and if he does, I think this card could go up in value. Up next at number 3 is a guy I'm really excited to see take a big step next season. As soon as I saw the departure of Pierre-Luc Dubois from LA to Washington, I was like, Quinton Byfield is primed to take a big breakout season next year. I just really liked what I saw last year in a sophomore season from Byfield, and I think that's why LA felt they could move on from Dubois so early in that huge contract they gave him. They end up getting a decent goaltender back in return, and Quinton Byfield is set to be the second-line center for the Kings going forward. Take a look at Byfield's stats from last season. You can see he had 55 points in 80 games played, and I think his role will be increasing next season with more experience, the departure of Dubois, and I think they're going to be priming Byfield to eventually take Anze Kopitar's role as the top-line center because Kopitar is getting pretty old, and I think he's going to be retiring in the next 2 to 3 years, I would guess. And I think they want Byfield to start taking these next steps. I'd be very surprised if Byfield wasn't the Kings' second line center on opening night. My only concern with Byfield would be the same concerns I had with both Jarvis and McTavish. Is the card market in LA is not great. So in order for Byfield's cards to gain substantial value, he'd really have to do something special. He would have to probably be over a point per game. I think his ceiling was probably a point per game this next year. But I think the Kings are a playoff team, and if they're in the hunt and Byfield's scoring at a rapid rate, who knows? Byfield's cards could spike. Taking a look at Byfield's PSA 10 Young Guns, it looks like they sold for as high as 111 US and as low as around 80 US. So that's kind of a large range, actually. It looks like that might just be a spike sale. That's kind of in the range where I kind of expect Byfield to be right now. So this card could either go up or down depending on his performance. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But I do like Byfield, just not so great about the market. Up next at number 2, if we go another season without Buffalo, Ottawa, Detroit, or Montreal making the playoffs, I might go crazy. I think Detroit, out of those 4 teams, is the closest team to making the playoffs. So at number 2, I have Lucas Raymond of the Detroit Red Wings. Moritz Seider, of course, is also in this young gun crop, but typically defensemen don't gain value as quickly as forwards do. It's mostly based off of offensive production, and I don't think Moritz Seider is really an offensive defenseman. He's more of like a two-way or shutdown type guy. I don't really see his cards having that much value really long-term unless he becomes like a fan favorite. I think Lucas Raymond, though, heading into the next season, could be poised for a breakout, could be around a point per game, and he looked fantastic near the end of last season. You look at his point totals from last season, you can see 72 points in 81 games. That is a huge increase from the sophomore slump he had the previous year. I love to see that. I'm excited to see him keep growing his game. I think he's going to be a huge part of this Red Wings offense. Taking a look at the projected lineup, they currently have him projected to play the first line right wing spot alongside Alex DeBrincat and Dylan Larkin. That's exactly what you want to see. And the main reason I have Lucas Raymond over some of the other guys on this list is because of that card market. I cannot stress enough how important card market is for these cards to gain value during the season. Detroit has a good card market. Detroit was so close to making the playoffs last season, and Lucas Raymond's cards are actually pretty reasonable in my opinion. One sold for a high of 72, a low of around 50 US dollars. I think that's pretty reasonable considering I think he's going to be one of the superstars on this Red Wings team going into the future and going in the next season. I like Lucas Raymond a lot. All right, before we get into it, my number 1 pick for 2021-22, I just want to go over my honorable mentions as per usual with these lists. Some honorable mentions that didn't make the list: Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, Logan Thompson, Jeremy Swayman, Trevor Zegras, Shane Pinto, Dawson Mercer, Alex Newhook, Cole Perfetti, Jake Neighbors, Moritz Seider, William Eklund, and JJ Peterka all didn't make this list, but were in consideration. My number 1 pick, let's get into it. It's a bit of a homer pick, I will admit, but it's Cole Coffield of the Montreal Canadiens. I just cannot deny the goal scoring upside combined with the card market upside in Montreal, putting him at number 1 on this list. I know that's now back-to-back lists with Montreal Canadiens at number 1, but I just couldn't help it. I did have him lower. I had to move him up just because of the card market. A not so great Montreal Canadiens team last year. Cole Coffield registered 65 points over 82 games. I think that's very strong, and I expect him to grow next season, as I do expect the Habs to be better next season. The main reason he's over guys like Lucas Raymond, Quinton Byfield, and Seth Jarvis. I think Seth Jarvis is a better player than Cole Coffield. It's just the card market. The Montreal Canadiens fan base is crazy. If Cole Coffield goes out there and scores 40 goals, or his absolute ceiling, I would think would be 50, and that would be crazy if he got 50. I think his card just in this young crop has the most room to grow because of that crazy fan base. Coffield is obviously going to start the season on the top line with Uri Slafkovsky and Nick Suzuki like last year. You guys will have to let me know in the comments below. Am I looking at this with rose-tinted glasses? Am I being a biased Habs fan here? Or am I correct in my assessment that with the goal-scoring upside and the market upside of his cards that he has the best chance to go up in value next season? You'll let me know your list down in the comments below. I'm curious to see what you guys say. Looking at his prices, one sold for as low as 113 US. Looks like one sold for as high as 155 US. About in line with what I expect. Of course, these Habs cards are always going to be inflated. I think this could go up if he's able to increase his goal scoring output next season and if Montreal is in the hunt. But yeah, that's going to do it for this list. Let me know your guys' list down in the comments below. Make sure you drop a like on this video if you enjoy. Make sure you subscribe because we'll have the 2021 top 5 video coming out very soon. Make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss that. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.